Welcome back. Your man Diamond K in here, of course, the Diamond K Show, thediamondkshow.com, onfirebroadcasting.com. A lot of things to unpack, a lot of emotions and feelings that folks have. Now, of course, Trump supporters are happy for now. That's because I guess you have not processed in your mind what your decision in the voting booth meant. But we're going to unpack and talk about Kamala Harris really quickly. Why Kamala lost? Was she a flawed candidate or was it a doomed campaign? We're going to talk about that. But before we go any further, I have got to start with polling, election polling, the pollsters, the folks that have been out stealing money hand over fist from campaigns, from the folks that fund polling. And essentially, pollsters are wrong. They're always wrong. Presidential election polls are increasingly inaccurate. They screw it up. They make the media look bad. They give the campaigns the wrong mindset, and they stress the public out. Do we really need hundreds and hundreds of polls that are essentially wrong before election day? No, we do not need that. We do not need that. And I think that it's time. Now, back in the day, when you had the TV guide, and when folks were watching what we call regular TV ratings, coverage, and all that kind of stuff was a big deal. And you had the things called the Nielsen ratings and all those kind of things. Those were a big deal back in the day. But at this point, pollsters are wrong. And campaigns focus the election cycle is focused on these polls. And these polls, more times than not, are wrong. And it is time for us to stop relying on said polls. It just doesn't make sense. So major media outlets invest a lot of TV time on the polls. In every election cycle, they say the polls saying this, the polls are saying that, and they think that I don't know, that these pollsters who are being paid by campaigns might have an idea of which direction the electorate is going to go into. So I want to go down history a little bit. I want us to think about where things are. Now, the polls got it very wrong in 2016. Polls in 2016 said that Hillary Clinton was going to win, right? She lost. Now, folks will say, well, no, she won the popular vote. Okay, fine. She won the popular vote. She lost the election. And the popular vote is not what determines the election. So it's a nice little, second prize, but it's not what gets you into the White House. So, of course, we have to look at the fact that 2016 polls were wrong. Those pollsters were paid a lot of money. Now, you, working class, average, everyday man or woman, if you get things wrong like the pollsters got wrong in 2016, you would not have a job anymore. But what did they do in 2018? 2018, all right, polls were somewhat right, somewhat. But for a big part of it, it was wrong in the midterms in 2018. So now, and maybe you're saying, oh, they're a little bit right. They're doing their thing a little bit, right? So now let's go to 2020. 2020 polls got it wrong. Polls got it wrong in 2020, all right? Now, you come back in 2022, we had a midterm. Polls got it wrong then as well. And, the track record, 2016, very wrong. 2016, they got a couple things right. 2018, they got a couple things right. 2020, wrong. 2022, wrong. So now here we are, 2024. The polls had folks thinking that it was going to be even. So a couple, they say this is the best poll ever. This poll in Iowa, she got it so wrong that she should not. Nobody should even talk to her no more about polling. But I hear pollsters making an excuse for the inaccuracies of polling. Polling never gets it right because it's based on a small sample size and people telling you something that you can believe, or maybe you shouldn't believe. Who knows? But my point is that too much is invested in polling, and that needs to stop. That needs to go away. Polling needs to go away. Now, why did Kamala Harris lose? Was she a flawed candidate, or was it a doomed campaign? Well, when we talk about the candidate, right? She's overly qualified candidate, overly qualified. Really, a woman president, and they definitely don't want to see a black woman president because Kamala Harris got less votes than Hillary and less votes than Biden. She's qualified, very qualified. But clearly, being qualified is not enough. So I want Democrats to understand something. I want Democrats to learn this lesson because you've been given a lesson, and it's a hard lesson. You ran Hillary Clinton. Up until that point, she probably was the most qualified person for the position, and she lost. Now, she's run before that, right? She got a little bit further the second time in 2016 than she did the first time when she ran, but they didn't want it. So we were thinking it's just a Hillary thing, right? For years, the Republicans have been painting Hillary as the villain. So the reason that Hillary lost was because it was a Hillary thing. But the hints were there. I saw interviews with folks, regular, everyday, working class folks that said that a woman can't be president. These were women that were saying that, and women believed it. But folks were thinking it's just a Hillary thing. If we get the right woman, then it's going to go further. And we have Kamala. Qualified, she checks the boxes, she's done all the things. But when it came down for voting for a black female president, America has shown that it is not what they want. It is not what they want. Now, I commend Kamala. I think that she's first of all, she is the victim of a lot of propaganda. She is highly intelligent. But intelligence alone is not going to do it. And when she can study as much as she wants, she can be the best attorney in California and best member of Congress and all that, and make it to the vice presidency. But she cannot change the fact that she's a woman and she's black in America. So Americans have shown that they do not want or are not ready for a female president. So a lot of her candidacy, what could she do? Right? Now, here's another thing that's been happening lately, and I definitely think that there's something to this. President Biden, Joe Biden, has gotten a lot of blame for not stepping down sooner. There really should have been a process, a primary process, but his ego wouldn't let him do it. Now, let's say that Joe Biden had stepped down and there had been the traditional primary process. Kamala would have still lost. Because, let's go back, America is not ready for, does not want a female president, at least based on what we have seen, right? They ran a white female candidate, the most qualified one ever, didn't win. Some people literally hate Hillary. And additionally, the way that Donald Trump runs against female candidates or male candidates for that matter, the female candidate, it just can't survive it. A lot of the working class folks believe the hype. They believe the propaganda. So this works to the disadvantage of a female candidate. Let's go back to Joe Biden. Joe Biden should have stepped down a long time ago. I mean, he said that he was going to be a one-term president. That's what he said. And he should have stuck to it. Had he stuck to it, I think that the Democratic field would have produced a male candidate that could have given Donald Trump a better run for their money. But that did not happen. Joe Biden's ego did not allow that. His name, Joe Biden, was not on the ballot, but history will likely remember Kamala Harris's defeat as his loss too. Kamala Harris's loss is a big part of Joe Biden's legacy. It was very difficult for her to run a 100-day campaign. And I see folks on Instagram saying that Kamala Harris is not qualified. Okay. Donald Trump was not qualified. He held no political office whatsoever. But folks say we want to shake things up. So everything's about framing. So when you have the white male who has never held political office, folks say, oh, this is something new. This is something fresh. And then when you have a black woman or a white woman in Hillary Clinton who's held every office there is to hold, these are attorneys, these are accomplished attorneys. And folks say they're not qualified. But they say that the white male who's, did I say had never held political office in 2016? Nobody said he wasn't qualified, even though he wasn't. But that is a part of America. This is a part of the propaganda. This is what female candidates have to deal with. And it is something that folks on the left, Democrats, are going to have to reconcile with. Andrew Yang, a former candidate, said the biggest onus of this loss, talking about Kamala Harris's loss, is on President Biden. I tend to agree with that. It is on President Biden. Now, folks are going to say, the businessman is qualified to run the nation. Don't say that. Don't say that the businessman. I see someone on Instagram say that. And, it's interesting. So let's talk about Trump's businesses. And the Trump Airlines ran to the ground. The Trump University fraud. The Trump casinos ran to the ground. Trump steaks, Trump everything. Every Trump business ran to the ground. But everything is propaganda. In America, it's propaganda. It's communication. It's social media. It's what you can get people to think, how you frame things. Democrats need to learn that. Democrats need to learn that better. Biden will leave office after leading the United States out of the worst pandemic in a century, right? But there's so many other things that he did wrong. There's so many other things that he did wrong. And some people will say, was Biden's presidency, was it successful or was it unsuccessful? Now, I'm going to say that it was unsuccessful. And here's why. The legacy is not going to be a positive one. Maybe years down the line, they're going to look at it positively. But history is definitely going to be written by the victors. And I just don't see Biden as being a victor here. He was unable to help his vice president take his job. He was actually an anchor around her leg. She was unable to separate herself from him. There are ways that she could have done it. She couldn't just blatantly have just crapped on him. But there's ways that it could have happened. But there's nothing she really could have done to win this election. Looking back, I think that she was a great candidate. She could be a governor somewhere, no problem. But the presidency, and then running against someone who's going to run a campaign like Donald Trump would run, is going to be nearly impossible. Nearly impossible. So if you remember the Kamala Harris appearance on The View, it was expected to be a friendly interview. She was just trying to pitch herself to Americans who said they wanted to know more about her. But the sit down was quickly overshadowed by her response to a question on what she would have done differently from the incumbent president. And when asked this question, she said, "Not a thing comes to mind." So one of the biggest stains on Biden's legacy is going to be the withdrawal from Afghanistan. I wish she had said that, but she did not. She did not say that. And what happened is that answer became a Republican attack ad, a loop. They just put it on loop, and it just underscored the political headwinds that her Jumpstart campaign failed to overcome in this loss to Donald Trump. So that was wrong. So you have traditional Democratic politics that she was going by. So she's had, traditional folks in her campaign. She got traditional campaign advisors, and they're doing the things that Democrats always do. They're doing the thing that Democrats always do. And so I'm seeing a lot of interesting comments. I'll jump into a few. Kamala was a broken record running on a broken record. Okay, whatever that means. But I want to highlight this one. Trump golf course is still up. Okay, got you. Wonderful. Kamala's mama ain't black. Okay, so that's the one I wanted to highlight. Okay, so midlife bro logic is a white male, so he doesn't know this, but I'll explain this part. You are two things: what your father is and what you appear like. Right? What a reasonable person would look at you and assume that you are or treat you as. Kamala's father is black, so we can get away with that one. Okay, so Kamala conceded in the race yesterday afternoon, telling supporters do not despair. She did something that Donald Trump would never have done. She did not get up and say, "Let's go. The election has been stolen. Let's go to the Capitol. Let's do it." No, she accepted it. And she did not cry about the loss being stolen, about all this kind of stuff. If you remember early on election night, Donald Trump was saying, "Oh, there's fraud in Pennsylvania. Oh, there's fraud in Detroit." Then when it started to move in his favor, all this talk of fraud went away. All right. All this talk of fraud went away. It is so interesting, right? Isn't it amazing? Aren't we so glad that there was no fraud in the election, right? This party that only accepts the results when they win. Hopefully this mindset will go away with Trump. Hopefully. But we never know. We never know. Losing is a hard thing. It is. It's hard. And it's going to take a long time to process this. Hopefully Democrats will go back to the drawing board and start over. But what needs to happen is a reckoning. All the old ways of doing things need to go out of the window. They need to throw that out the window, and we need to start fresh again. Because if they do not, they're going to continue a long path of defeats. If they do not, okay. So someone's asking me, I don't know why it's a surprise, but someone's asking me, who did I vote for? I voted for Kamala Harris, obviously. You think I would vote for Donald Trump? Yeah, no. Okay. I voted for Kamala Harris. And as the sitting vice president, Harris was unable to untether herself from the unpopular Joe Biden. She was unable to do it. And it was a difficult thing to do, and to do it in 100 days. Not easy to do. And then the fact that she was a black woman, a woman of color, difficult to do with a country that does not want to have a woman president, right? So she had Biden's baggage, and it was very, very difficult to do. So if she had thrown him under the bus, then that would have been the attack ad. I mean, you got to deal with whatever it is. The president's approval ratings have consistently hovered in the low 40s throughout his 4 years in office. And if we go back to the 2020 campaign, in 2019, I was on this show saying not Joe Biden. I did not want Joe Biden, and we got Joe Biden. So who is to blame? Joe Biden is a big part of it. If Joe Biden had lost at the primaries in 2020 in South Carolina and was not saved, then things may have gone differently. But I don't know. One thing that it's hard to turn away from the president who chose you, right? Unless the president's supporters try to kill you. Mike Pence turned away from the president, and he ran for president, and you saw what that did. Not a whole lot, but as time goes on and we continue to process this defeat, and folks continue to experience what the oncoming Trump administration is going to bring to the table, I think that we'll be able to see things. But 14 million people just stayed home, right? So Kamala Harris also was unable to really connect with a lot of folks. And that's a big part of it, is because it was only 100 days. But the way that President Obama was able to connect with folks over the years of running for president, Kamala Harris did not have that benefit. Now, she did have a time when she ran in 2019, and she failed to connect at that point as well. So the main reason that Donald Trump was running was because he was trying to stay out of jail successfully. Donald Trump's federal cases will probably be dismissed now that he is the president-elect. America has failed democracy, right? But the average worker, the average everyday citizen, democracy is just like something that elites are talking about, right? What they're really concerned about are the bread and butter issues. The Democratic Party has completely lost touch with those everyday workers. And I don't know how Trump was able to do it, but he was able to amass a coalition of everyday workers, white, Black, Latino. Our media has failed us. The institutions have failed us. Half of the country has failed us. Worst of all, I think that we're going to pose a major, major threat to the planet. Now, there are probably some executive orders that are going to be coming down the line, and you're going to also start hearing this. I heard Steve Bannon say it, and a few others. They're going to now say, oh, yeah, the Project 2025 stuff, we're going to be implementing that. Now, all of a sudden, Donald Trump is going to know exactly what Project 2025 is. Remember, he said that he did not know what it was. Oh, it's going to be coming down the line. Executive orders are coming. There's going to be some vaccine mandates are going to probably be abolished. There is going to be a ban on, fluoride. They're going to ban a lot of different things, and we're going to see how it goes. But it's an ironic twist the way that things have gone. But Social Security healthcare. Oh, we're gonna have plenty of time to talk about this. Uh, I don't know. I really don't. I really don't think that we have fully had a chance to process everything because it's only been a couple of days. But Kamala Harris, it was a very difficult job to try to obtain, right? And so I don't blame Kamala Harris. She was dealt the hand. She had to deal with the hand that she dealt. But at the end of the day, I do not think that we are going to see a female president anytime soon. Hopefully, the Democrats will get that. Now, in 2028, you're going to probably have some Democratic women run for president. And I don't think they're going to get far at all. Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan, she's going to probably try to run. Don't think she's going to get far at all. I don't. And America does not want that. America does not want that. And that is, I mean, that's what it is. That's what it is. So hopefully, this reckoning, the Democratic Party is going to start from scratch. That means getting rid of these whack pollsters, getting rid of these same old political advisors, and getting some new candidates and finding a way to connect with the working everyday male and female in this country. That is where they have to start. That is where they have to start. And definitely let me know your thoughts, of course, in the comment section, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show, on Threads, at The Diamond K Show, djdiamondk at gmail.com. And so even at this point, Joe Biden, I mean, should he have even picked Kamala? Should Kamala have been the pick? I think that Kamala should have been the pick. I think that as a presidential pick, I think that was fine. I think that he should have stuck to being a one-term president. I think that the Democrats should have had an actual primary, and I think that the strongest candidate should have come out and run, and that candidate is the candidate that should have run against Donald Trump. All right, now we can go back even further. Now, Donald Trump, Mitch McConnell screwed things up. Donald Trump should not have even been able to run for president again. So, I mean, there's a lot of different places that we can go to as it relates to this 2024 campaign. The federal indictments, the federal criminal cases against Donald Trump are going to end before he takes office. So I guess if you are, I don't know, if you committed a crime, maybe Diddy should run for office, and then when they try to prosecute him, he can say that's election interference. Maybe Diddy could do that. Maybe Lil Durk should run for office, and then when they try to move forward with this, he can say, "Oh no, that's election interference. I'm just trying to run for office." Maybe they should do that. Of course, that's not going to work. I guess you only play that card if you're a white guy, I guess, right? I think you should try to do that. Folks that are facing the law, run for president, run for governor, run for mayor. And then when they try to come at you, just say that it is election interference. Of course, I'll be back here tomorrow, and a lot of things that we have going on, and a lot of announcements that I'm going to be making. We are going to prepare to go to the Ravens tailgate. We're going down to the stadium, so you'll see me down there. We're going to do a broadcast from down there, so I'll be back here shortly. But as far as the show, I'll be back here tomorrow, of course, on YouTube, DJ Diamond K on YouTube, and anywhere you get your podcast, just search The Diamond K Show. I will see you guys tomorrow.